Your life won't change until you do something about it. That's the mindset shift most people never make. They wait, they blame, they delay. But the truth is clear. Success starts with you, not tomorrow, not someday, right now. This isn't about being perfect. It's about getting real with yourself and deciding you're done wasting potential. You're done giving energy to excuses. You're done living the same day over and over again. If you're tired of feeling stuck, tired of talking about goals that never happen, then it's time to look in the mirror. Your growth, your progress, your results, they all begin the moment you take full ownership of how you live. In this audiobook, you'll learn how to become your best self by taking action, not just thinking about it. This is the wake-up call most people need. You don't need motivation, you need direction, and it starts with the decision to lead yourself forward. If you're ready to stop making excuses, to stop procrastinating and start truly transforming your life, then let's dive in. How to become your best self is your roadmap to achieving success, building confidence, and creating the life you've always wanted. Chapter 1. Mindset Shifts for Living Your Best Life. The power of transforming your mindset today. Imagine for a moment that you could snap your fingers, and suddenly, everything you've been wanting, more confidence, more success, a better mindset, was just a shift in thinking away. Sounds too good to be true, right? But what if I told you that transforming your mindset today could unlock a world of possibilities, and it doesn't require some magic trick or fairy dust to make it happen? It's true. The power to change your life is sitting right in your mind. The thoughts you believe, the way you see the world, the way you respond to challenges, and the stories you tell yourself all play a huge role in shaping your reality. In fact, the way you think could very well be the thing holding you back. When you see yourself as limited, you unknowingly create a life full of limitations. When you believe your potential is endless, your life begins to unfold in exciting ways. The thing is, this transformation doesn't have to be slow, drawn out, or filled with confusion. It can start today, with one simple shift in thinking. So what would happen if you took just one area of your life, maybe your career, relationships, or health, and decided to see it differently? What if you changed the way you thought about failure, or began believing that you could actually accomplish what you've always dreamed of? This is the power of transforming your mindset. It's not some lofty concept. It's a shift in perception that can happen in real time. Now, think about the moments in life when you felt stuck. When it seemed like you were spinning your wheels, trying and trying, but never getting anywhere. In those moments, did you ever stop and think, what's really stopping me? If you did, you might have noticed that a lot of the barriers were in your own mind. It's like you're walking around with a weight around your ankles, not realizing that if you just shifted your perspective, if you just thought differently, those chains would fall away. What if instead of seeing challenges as obstacles, you saw them as opportunities for growth? Imagine the next time life throws a curveball. Instead of reacting with fear or doubt, you take a deep breath and think, this is just part of the journey. By shifting your thinking, you're taking away the power that fear, doubt, and hesitation have over you. It's freeing. It's realizing that setbacks aren't signs of failure. They're stepping stones towards success. This shift is something we all have access to. At any moment, we can decide that we're not bound by our circumstances, past mistakes, or perceived limitations. You can choose right now to see every situation as something that is happening for you, not to you. For example, think about a time when something didn't go your way. Maybe you didn't get the promotion you wanted, or a project didn't turn out like you'd hoped. Now think about how different your experience would have been if, instead of getting discouraged, you told yourself, I'll learn from this. I'll get better because of this. That's a mindset shift in action. But here's the thing. This shift requires practice. You won't always get it right. Sometimes old habits of negative thinking creep in. It's easy to think that things are hopeless, that you'll never achieve your goals. But this is where the real power comes in. Every time you catch yourself thinking negatively, you get to choose a different thought. You don't have to accept the first thought that comes into your head. It takes practice, but over time, you'll begin to notice how those small shifts compound into something larger. The best part? This is a change you can start today. You don't need to wait for a new year, a new month, or even a new week. Right now, in this moment, you have the power to choose how you think about your life. Maybe it's about taking small actions, like choosing gratitude over frustration, or viewing a challenge as a learning opportunity rather than a defeat. It's about training your brain to respond differently to the situations you encounter, and doing that consistently. So what's your first step? The next time something doesn't go as planned, pause. Take a deep breath. Don't let frustration or negativity take over. Instead, ask yourself, how can I turn this into something positive? By simply choosing to think differently, you'll begin to see the world through a new lens. You'll start to notice opportunities you were once blind to. You'll notice that you're not as stuck as you once thought. You'll realize that the power to change your life was always in your hands. You just had to unlock it with a shift in mindset. Next, we're going to talk about how changing your perspective can unlock new opportunities. So don't go anywhere. You'll want to hear how to make this transformation a permanent part of your life. How changing your perspective can unlock new opportunities. Sometimes, the biggest obstacle we face isn't the lack of opportunity, it's the way we see the world around us. It's easy to get caught up in our routines, our challenges, and the things that aren't going the way we want them to. The feeling of being stuck, like you're treading water with no way out, can creep in. But here's the thing. What if the way to break free from that feeling isn't by changing everything around you, but by changing how you see things? Picture this. You're standing at the edge of a forest, unsure of which path to take. There are two clear roads in front of you. The first road is well-worn, familiar, and comfortable. No surprises, no risks. The second is less traveled, a little overgrown, and seems to lead off into the unknown. Most people instinctively choose the safe, familiar path. But what if the key to discovering your next big opportunity lies in taking that unfamiliar path? What if all it takes is a shift in how you see the world, to see possibility where others only see risk? This is what changing your perspective can do. It's like wearing a new pair of glasses that help you see things in a completely different light. The world doesn't change, but your ability to spot opportunities changes. When you shift your mindset, suddenly, doors begin to open that you didn't even know existed. It's not magic, it's perception. When you view the world with fresh eyes, you start to see things in a new light. Connections, solutions, possibilities, things that were right in front of you all along, but you simply weren't able to recognize them before. Let's take a simple example. Have you ever felt like your job or career was going nowhere? You were stuck in the same role, doing the same tasks day after day, and it felt like you were never going to break through. The frustration builds, right? But what if instead of seeing your job as a dead end, you saw it as an opportunity to learn new skills, connect with people, and start laying the foundation for something bigger? The job might not be your dream role, but it can still be an incredibly valuable stepping stone if you shift your focus to what you can learn and achieve while you're there. Your perspective shapes your opportunities. When you start to view challenges as opportunities, setbacks as lessons, and obstacles as stepping stones, you open yourself up to a whole new world of possibilities. It's not about waiting for the right circumstances to appear. It's about creating the right mindset so that every experience, every challenge, every moment becomes an opportunity to grow, learn, and move forward. Think about a time when you faced a tough situation. Maybe something didn't go as planned. You were disappointed, frustrated, and ready to throw in the towel. But what if, instead of focusing on the negative, you had asked yourself, what can I learn from this? How can this make me stronger? By changing your perspective, you're no longer a victim of your circumstances. You're empowered, actively seeking out solutions, and looking for the silver lining in every situation. This shift isn't just about thinking positively. It's about thinking strategically. It's about making the conscious decision to see the value in every experience, no matter how difficult. This perspective shift also opens the door to new opportunities in places you might never have considered. It's easy to think of success as something that happens by chance or by being in the right place at the right time. But successful people know something that others don't. Success often comes from seeing what others can't. By simply choosing to change how you look at the world, you begin to spot opportunities where others see obstacles. Imagine you're stuck in a job that doesn't excite you. Maybe the pay isn't great, or you don't feel challenged anymore. But instead of feeling trapped or bitter, you change your perspective. You start to see this as a space where you can learn, network, and build the skills that will make you invaluable in the future. With this mindset shift, you begin to take action. Maybe you volunteer for new projects, connect with colleagues you haven't worked with before, or start gaining experience in areas you'd previously overlooked. All of a sudden, this job becomes the very thing that will help you reach your next big goal. You've shifted from seeing it as a dead end to recognizing it as a stepping stone. Opportunity is everywhere, but it's easy to overlook when we're focused on the wrong things. By changing how you view the world, you open yourself up to a new way of thinking that allows you to see possibilities where you previously saw limitations. So, if you're feeling stuck or frustrated, it might not be because there's no path forward. It could simply be because you haven't yet shifted your perspective. The path is there, waiting for you to see it. The opportunity is there, waiting for you to recognize it. It's all about changing how you see things. Next, we'll explore how to embracing a growth mindset to move beyond limitations, and how to create a plan that helps you move forward. Because once you've unlocked a new way of thinking, the next step is to put that mindset into motion. And trust me, that's where the magic really starts. Stay tuned, because the best part of the journey is just getting started. Embracing a growth mindset to move beyond limitations. It's incredible how much our mindset shapes the way we experience the world. The way we think about ourselves, our abilities, and the challenges we face can either hold us back or propel us forward. There's something so powerful about realizing that the key to breaking free from our limitations is in the way we think. When we embrace a growth mindset, we open ourselves up to new possibilities and endless opportunities. Think about the times in your life when you felt stuck, when the obstacles seemed too big, the challenges too overwhelming. Maybe it's been in your career, in your personal life, or even in your relationships. It's easy to fall into the trap of thinking, this is as good as it gets. There's nothing more I can do. I can't go any further. Those thoughts feel so final, right? It's like you've hit a wall. But here's the powerful truth. That wall is only there because you've decided it is. What if you could shift your thinking, just for a moment, and see that wall as an opportunity to climb higher? The beauty of a growth mindset is that it shifts the way you approach challenges. Instead of seeing failure or difficulty as something to avoid, you start to see it as part of the learning process. Challenges aren't walls to stop you. They're opportunities to grow. When you approach life with this mindset, you see every setback as a chance to learn something new, every failure as feedback, not a reason to give up. And that's when the magic happens, when you stop letting obstacles define your limits and start using them as stepping stones to reach new heights. One of the most powerful things about embracing a growth mindset is that it gives you permission to be imperfect. We often think we have to be perfect to succeed, be it at work, in relationships, or with our personal goals. We think, if I can't do it perfectly, why even try? But a growth mindset shows us that imperfection is part of the journey. The more we try, the more we learn, and that learning builds our strength, our confidence, and our ability to tackle even bigger challenges. Imagine a time when you learned something new, whether it was a new skill, a new hobby, or even something as simple as figuring out a new app on your phone. At first it was confusing, maybe even frustrating. You might have thought, I'm not good at this. But as you stuck with it, you started to get better. You saw your progress, however small. That's what a growth mindset does. It takes that early discomfort and turns it into confidence, as you realize that you can get better with effort, practice, and learning. But here's the tricky part. Our minds can be our own worst enemies. It's so easy to slip back into a fixed mindset. When things get tough, we may start to doubt ourselves, thinking that we're not cut out for something or that it's too late to change. But those thoughts don't have to define you. The beauty of the growth mindset is that it's not just about intelligence or ability. It's about how you react to challenges. So instead of thinking, I can't do this, think I can't do this yet. That little shift in language makes all the difference. And here's where the real transformation happens. As you embrace a growth mindset, you begin to see your limitations as temporary. You no longer view them as fixed or permanent. Maybe you've struggled with self-doubt or lack of confidence, but with a growth mindset, you see it as a place to improve from, not a place to stay. You start to see the gaps in your skills and knowledge as areas of growth. And the more you focus on growth, the more progress you make, and the more you realize how far you can go. But like any habit, embracing a growth mindset takes practice. It's not a one-time switch. It's something you have to choose every day. When you're faced with a challenge, you have to remind yourself that you can grow through this. When things don't go as planned, you have to tell yourself, this is a lesson, not a failure. It's about rewiring your brain to see possibility where others see barriers. That's when you start to move beyond limitations. This mindset shift doesn't just impact your professional life, it changes how you approach your entire life. It's about embracing the idea that you are always evolving, always learning, always improving. You're never stuck, never defined by your past mistakes or shortcomings. Instead, you are always moving forward, always striving for more. The world opens up to you in ways you couldn't have imagined before, because you no longer see obstacles as reasons to stop. You see them as opportunities to rise higher. The most inspiring part of this, you don't have to have everything figured out right now. You don't need to know exactly where this new mindset will take you. It's about the journey and the growth that comes along with it. As you continue to embrace challenges, practice learning from them, and push through moments of doubt, you'll begin to see how much more you're capable of than you ever thought possible. And the best part? The growth never stops. With a growth mindset, you are always evolving, always pushing yourself toward the next challenge, the next opportunity, the next chapter in your story. The sky is the limit. And with a mindset like this, you'll keep reaching higher and higher every single day. Stick with me, because in the next chapter, we'll explore how stop waiting, start doing, the key to consistent action. The journey is just getting started, and the next step is going to be the one that takes you to the next level. Chapter 2. Stop waiting, start doing, the key to consistent action. Why waiting for the right time holds you back. The idea of waiting for the right time is something we all fall into at one point or another. Maybe you've been there too, thinking that if only the stars aligned, if only you had the perfect conditions, if only you had a little more experience or a bit more confidence, then you'd be ready to make that move. It feels safe, right? If you wait for the perfect moment, it's like you can avoid failure or risk. But the truth is, that perfect moment doesn't exist. Waiting for the right time only holds you back. It's a trap that keeps you stuck in a cycle of inaction, wondering why things never seem to change. It's tempting to think that success is all about timing, that if you wait long enough, everything will magically fall into place. But here's the problem. The longer you wait, the more time you waste. Opportunities are like trains. They don't wait around. The world moves fast, and while you're standing on the platform, waiting for the right time, someone else is hopping on the next train. If you don't act, you miss out. Think about this. You're sitting at your desk, staring at the blank page or screen, waiting for that burst of inspiration to hit before you take the first step. You think, once I feel ready, then I'll start. But the problem is, waiting for readiness can turn into a never-ending cycle. Each day you wait. You convince yourself that tomorrow will be better, that tomorrow you'll be more prepared. But tomorrow turns into next week, next month, and eventually, the year is gone and you're still in the same place. It's easy to think that you'll somehow magically wake up one day feeling like you've got everything figured out, like you're finally ready to take action. But the real truth is that readiness comes from action, not from waiting. Waiting keeps you trapped in the land of, I'll do it when, and before you know it, you're stuck. The perfect moment is a myth. There's never a moment when everything lines up perfectly. So why wait for something that isn't coming? Here's the kicker. The right time is now. Action is the key that unlocks everything. Once you start moving, even if it's just one small step, things begin to shift. That small action begins to snowball, and suddenly you're in motion. The first step is always the hardest, but it's the most important. Once you've taken that leap, the next step becomes clearer, and the next one after that. Before you know it, you're creating your own opportunities, building momentum that propels you forward. The fear of failure is another reason people hold off on taking action. You're afraid that if you take the leap before you're 100% ready, things will go wrong. But here's the thing. Failure isn't a setback. It's part of the process. When you fail, you learn. And every time you learn, you grow. You can't avoid failure by waiting for the perfect time. In fact, waiting only guarantees that you'll miss out on the lessons that come from taking action. It's important to realize that the right time is often the time when you feel most unprepared. That's when you need to act. It's when you're unsure, nervous, and uncertain that you're actually in the sweet spot for growth. Those uncomfortable feelings are signs that you're stepping outside your comfort zone, which is exactly where growth happens. If you wait for the right time, you're missing the point. Growth happens through the process, not when things feel easy. Here's a relatable example. Think of all the people who started their businesses, moved to new cities, or started writing that book when they had no idea what they were doing. They didn't wait for perfection. They dove in anyway. They figured it out along the way. The same can happen for you. You don't have to wait to feel ready. In fact, you'll likely never feel 100% ready, but you can still start. And when you do, you'll learn what you need to know as you go. This isn't just about business or big life decisions. It applies to any goal. Maybe you've been thinking about improving your health, learning a new skill, or strengthening relationships. It's easy to think you need to wait for the right conditions before making a change. But the reality is, you'll never have the perfect time to begin. The best time to start is right now, with what you have, where you are. What if, instead of waiting for everything to align, you decided to start with what you can control today? Imagine what could happen if you simply took action, no matter how small, and committed to moving forward, even without all the answers. Your progress wouldn't be about waiting for the perfect time, it would be about creating the momentum you need to get closer to your goals, one step at a time. This is how people succeed. They stop waiting for the right time, and they start acting in the here and now. Next, we'll dive into overcoming procrastination and fear of failure and use that to catapult you toward the success you've been dreaming about. So, stick around. It's about to get even more exciting. Overcoming procrastination and fear of failure. There's a quiet thief in most of our lives, something that steals time and energy, leaving us feeling stuck, frustrated, and defeated. It's called procrastination, and it often goes hand in hand with the fear of failure. At first, it seems harmless. Maybe you'll get to that task tomorrow, or you'll start on that dream later. But as days turn into weeks and weeks into months, you begin to feel the weight of those tomorrows piling up. And before you know it, those small delays turn into missed opportunities, and you're left wondering what happened. But why do we procrastinate? Why do we hold ourselves back when we know exactly what we need to do? It's not laziness, it's fear. Fear of getting things wrong. Fear of not being good enough. Fear of failing. And when we're afraid of failing, our minds trick us into thinking that putting things off will somehow protect us from that fear. But here's the kicker. Procrastination doesn't protect us from failure. It guarantees it. The longer we avoid taking action, the further we get from our goals. But if we can face the fear, if we can learn how to overcome procrastination, we unlock a whole new world of potential. Think about it. The fear of failure often stems from the belief that if we don't do something perfectly, it's a sign of failure. We set impossibly high standards for ourselves and then convince ourselves that if we can't meet those standards right away, we shouldn't even try. But this fear is based on a lie. Perfection isn't necessary to make progress. In fact, failure is often where the most growth happens. The most successful people didn't get there by being perfect. They got there by being willing to fail, learn, and try again. It's that fear of failure that keeps us paralyzed. We create elaborate excuses to avoid taking action. And before we know it, the fear of failure becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. We fear failing so much that we avoid even trying, and by doing so, we fail at achieving our goals before we've even started. And this isn't just about big, life-changing goals. It affects everything. It's why you might avoid starting that workout routine, writing that email, or having that difficult conversation. We don't want to face the discomfort, the judgment, or the uncertainty. But here's the secret. Failure is the key to growth. When we fail, we learn. When we fall short, we can adjust and come back even stronger. Failure is just a part of the journey, and it doesn't mean we're not capable or not good enough. It means we're on the right path. The good news? You can beat procrastination. It all starts with taking the first step, even if that step feels small. And that's where we get caught up, isn't it? We want everything to be perfect right away. But here's a powerful truth. Small, imperfect action is always better than no action at all. When you're paralyzed by procrastination, the most important thing is to just start anything. Maybe it's just sending that first email or writing the first sentence of your project. Don't worry about the outcome. Don't worry about being perfect. Just start and trust that the momentum will carry you forward. So what's the trick to overcoming this cycle? It's acknowledging that fear. Acknowledge that feeling of resistance that keeps you stuck, and remind yourself that it's normal. You're not alone in feeling afraid or hesitant. Everyone has felt that way, but it's the people who take action despite that fear who make progress. It's about learning to act in the face of fear, not wait for it to disappear. Because here's the truth. Fear will never completely go away, but your ability to take action in spite of it will make all the difference. One powerful way to break free from procrastination is to shift your focus from the end result to the process. The next time you feel overwhelmed by a task or project, don't think about how big it is or how much you have left to do. Instead, focus on the small steps you can take today. Break it down into manageable chunks and focus on completing one small part of it. This makes the task feel less daunting, and as you check off each small step, you build momentum. Momentum is the antidote to procrastination. The more you do, the easier it becomes to keep going. Another effective strategy is to change how you talk to yourself. If you constantly say, "I can't do this," or "I'm not good enough," you're reinforcing that fear of failure. Start shifting that self-talk to something more empowering. Tell yourself, "I can try. I can make progress, even if it's imperfect." Speak to yourself like you would speak to a friend, encouraging, compassionate, and full of possibility. Lastly, take a look at your environment. Are there things around you that are contributing to your procrastination? Maybe it's your cluttered desk, your phone constantly pinging with notifications, or the negative people around you. Take control of your space, eliminate distractions, and create an environment that encourages focus and productivity. You'll be amazed at how much easier it is to take action when your surroundings align with your goals. Overcoming procrastination and the fear of failure is a process, but it's one that starts with understanding that taking action, no matter how small, is the key to breaking free. By learning to embrace failure, reframing your self-talk, and creating an environment that encourages progress, you'll soon find yourself moving past those fears and into action. And as you continue to build momentum, you'll see that success isn't about never failing. It's about failing, learning, and continuing to move forward. Next, we'll dive deeper, simple steps to start taking action toward your dreams today. Stay with me, because once you understand how to break the cycle of procrastination, you'll be unstoppable. Simple steps to start taking action toward your dreams today. We all have big dreams, right? Whether it's building that business, traveling the world, learning something new, or simply becoming the best version of ourselves, the dreams are there, simmering in the background. But somehow, they often feel just out of reach, like something for someday. You say to yourself, "Once everything falls into place, I'll go after my dreams." But the truth is, things will never fully fall into place if you don't start today. The thing about dreams is that they're not waiting for the perfect conditions to come together. They're waiting for you to take that first step, however small it may be. Taking action doesn't require perfection. It requires the courage to start, even when things feel uncertain, even when you're unsure if you're ready. So where do you start? It's simple. Start right now. You might not know exactly how to get to your destination, but you can always take the first step. Even if that first step feels tiny, it's a step forward, and every step after that makes the journey less intimidating. The first thing you can do is define what you want. It sounds obvious, but many people are vague about their dreams. They say things like, "I want to be successful," or "I want to be happy." Those are great goals, but they don't provide a clear path forward. So take a moment and really think about what success looks like for you. What do you want your life to look like in the next 6 months? In the next year? Write it down. The more specific you can get, the easier it will be to know what to do next. Next, break it down into small, manageable steps. You've probably heard the saying, "How do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time." The same idea applies here. If you're looking at your dream as one massive goal, it can be overwhelming. But if you break it down into smaller tasks, suddenly it feels much more manageable. Think of one thing you can do today that will move you closer to your goal. It doesn't have to be huge, but it does need to be something. Then, set a time limit. When you know you have a deadline, no matter how small, it forces you to take action. This is about removing any room for procrastination. You've made a commitment to yourself that by the end of the day, week, or month, you'll have completed a certain task related to your dream. Set a timer if you have to. Sometimes, just knowing there's a time frame makes it so much easier to dive in. One of the hardest parts of starting is simply getting over the feeling that you're not ready. It's easy to think, "I need more time to prepare, I need to do more research, I need to be better at this." But here's a secret. You don't need to be perfect to start. You don't need everything figured out. In fact, waiting for everything to fall into place is one of the biggest obstacles to achieving your dreams. The best way to learn and grow is to start while you're still figuring things out. If you wait for perfection, you'll never begin. Another simple step is to shift your environment. Surround yourself with reminders of your dreams and eliminate distractions. Whether it's creating a dedicated workspace, getting rid of clutter, or even sharing your goals with others, the environment you put yourself in plays a huge role in whether or not you take action. When your space feels like it aligns with your goals, you're more likely to take those first steps toward them. Don't forget the importance of accountability. This might sound simple, but telling someone about your goals is a game changer. It doesn't have to be a big announcement. Just telling a friend, family member, or mentor that you're starting today can make all the difference. When you share your goals, it makes them real, and having someone to check in with will help keep you on track when things get tough. Don't focus on the end result just yet. In the beginning, it's easy to get discouraged if you're not seeing big results right away. But what's important is the consistency of showing up. Celebrate the small wins. Did you take one step today? Awesome, that's progress. Did you do something that brought you closer to your dream, even if it was a tiny action? Celebrate that. Small wins build up over time, and soon you'll find yourself further along than you ever expected. Taking action doesn't require a huge leap. It requires small steps, starting today. And those small steps, they matter. They matter because they build momentum. They matter because every action, no matter how small, brings you closer to the life you want. And when you realize that taking the first step is often the hardest part, you can stop waiting for everything to be perfect and just start. In the next chapter, we'll dive into boosting confidence, building habits, and embracing self-discipline even when things get tough, and how to keep pushing forward. So keep your focus here. This journey is just getting started, and you're about to unlock something amazing. Stay tuned. Chapter 3. Boosting confidence, building habits, and embracing self-discipline. How to build unshakable confidence in yourself. Confidence is something many people wish they could just snap into existence. You know the feeling. You want to walk into a room, speak up in a meeting, or take on a big challenge. But there's that little voice in your head that tells you you're not good enough, not smart enough, or simply not ready. It's a frustrating feeling, and it's something that most of us face from time to time. But what if I told you that confidence isn't something you're born with? It's something you build. Imagine waking up tomorrow and feeling certain about your decisions. Picture walking into a room with your head held high, knowing that you can handle whatever comes your way. That's the kind of unshakable confidence we're talking about, the kind that comes from within, not from external validation or the approval of others. It's the kind of confidence that doesn't waver when things get tough, because you know, deep down, that you're capable. Building this kind of confidence doesn't happen overnight. It's not like flipping a switch or reading a motivational quote and suddenly feeling invincible. True confidence is something you cultivate every single day. It starts with understanding that confidence isn't about being perfect. It's about believing in yourself, flaws and all. It's knowing that you are enough, just as you are, and that you have everything you need to handle whatever life throws at you. One of the most powerful ways to build confidence is to reframe your self-talk. So often, we are our own worst critics. We say things to ourselves that we would never say to a friend. If we made a mistake or failed at something, we might think, I'm a failure. I'll never get this right. But think about how differently you'd feel if, instead of being critical, you spoke to yourself with kindness. What if, when you made a mistake, you said, it's okay. I'm learning and growing. I'll try again and do better next time. Reframing your inner dialogue is a game changer. When you shift your thoughts from negative to positive, you start to feel more confident in your abilities because you're not weighed down by self-doubt. Another key to building confidence is taking small actions that align with the person you want to become. Confidence grows when you follow through with what you say you're going to do, even if those actions are small at first. Each time you take a step forward, you build trust in yourself. And trust is the foundation of confidence. It's about showing yourself that you can rely on yourself no matter what. So when you set a goal, whether it's something big or small, make sure you take action on it. Even if it feels uncomfortable, even if you're nervous, do it anyway. The more you take action, the more you'll prove to yourself that you can handle whatever comes your way. Every small win is a building block of confidence. The next step is getting comfortable with discomfort. Confidence doesn't come from always feeling comfortable. In fact, it comes from learning to be comfortable in situations that push you outside of your comfort zone. Think of a time when you did something that scared you. Maybe it was public speaking, taking on a new project at work, or confronting someone about an issue. At first, it felt uncomfortable. But once you got through it, you realized that you could do hard things. And that realization, it builds confidence. The more you step outside your comfort zone, the more you prove to yourself that you can handle the uncomfortable. It's not about avoiding discomfort. It's about learning to embrace it and grow from it. Let's also talk about embracing failure as a part of the journey. The fear of failure often stops us in our tracks before we even try. We imagine the worst-case scenario, and it paralyzes us. But what if failure wasn't something to be afraid of, but something to learn from? What if, instead of seeing failure as an end, you saw it as feedback, as a stepping stone toward your growth? Confidence doesn't come from avoiding failure. It comes from seeing failure as a natural part of the process. When you fail, you gain insight into what works and what doesn't, and you can adjust your approach. Failing isn't the opposite of confidence. It's part of the process of building it. A huge piece of confidence comes from accepting yourself fully, flaws and all. We often think that in order to feel confident, we have to be perfect, have all the answers, and never make mistakes. But that's not true confidence. True confidence comes from accepting your imperfections and knowing that they don't define your worth. The more you accept yourself as you are, the more confident you become. When you stop trying to be perfect and start being authentic, you'll find that people are drawn to you for who you truly are. And the best part? You'll feel at peace with yourself. And here's the secret. Confidence grows when you stop comparing yourself to others. It's so easy to look at someone else's life, whether it's their career, relationships, or achievements, and think, I'll never be as good as that. But what if, instead of comparing, you focused on your own unique journey? You have your own strengths, your own experiences, and your own path. No one else can walk in your shoes, and no one else can live your life. When you stop comparing, you start living your life on your terms, and that is when confidence truly flourishes. Confidence is about trust. It's about trusting yourself to take the next step, trusting that you'll figure things out, and trusting that you are enough. It's about knowing that you don't need anyone else's approval to feel worthy or successful. You've got everything you need inside you. So let's take that first step today. Let's start reframing our self-talk, taking action even when we feel scared, and learning to trust ourselves. Confidence is not something that happens overnight, but with every step you take, you're moving closer to becoming the person who can handle whatever life throws your way. Next, we'll talk about the secrets to forming lasting habits that lead to success. Even on the tough days, trust me, you won't want to miss it. The secrets to forming lasting habits that lead to success. Imagine waking up every day with a clear sense of purpose and energy, knowing exactly what steps you need to take to move toward your goals. Picture yourself consistently doing the things you know are important, whether it's exercising, working on your career, or even focusing on your personal growth. What if these actions didn't feel like a struggle, but like part of your everyday routine? The good news is, that's entirely possible once you unlock the secrets to forming lasting habits that lead to success. Here's the thing. Success isn't just about working hard when you feel motivated or being driven by bursts of inspiration. It's about doing the right things, consistently, even when you don't feel like it, even when things get tough. That's where habits come in. Habits are the invisible forces that shape our lives. They're the small, repeated actions that, over time, accumulate into major shifts. And while it might seem like some people are just naturally successful because of their habits, the truth is, anyone can create the habits needed to achieve their dreams. One of the most powerful secrets to forming lasting habits is realizing that it's not about willpower. It's about designing your environment and routine to make success inevitable. Too often, we think that successful people just have this natural ability to stick to their goals. But the truth is, they've simply set up their lives in a way that makes success easier. Take a moment and think about your environment. What triggers your habits? Are there things around you that help you succeed? Or do they make it harder? When you set up your life to support your habits, you're setting yourself up for success. It's about making your environment work for you instead of against you. Let's dive deeper. One of the most effective ways to create lasting habits is by starting small. Too often, we dive into new habits with the belief that we need to go all in. We say things like, I'm going to work out every day for an hour, or I'm going to eat only healthy food from now on. But when those huge goals don't happen right away, we get discouraged and quit. The key is to make the habit so small and manageable that it feels impossible to fail. For example, instead of committing to an hour of exercise a day, start with just 10 minutes. Instead of trying to completely change your diet overnight, focus on swapping one unhealthy snack for something healthier. These small steps add up, and over time, you'll notice a shift. Starting small makes the process less daunting and creates a sense of accomplishment that keeps you motivated. Another secret to forming lasting habits is to tie your new habit to something you already do. This is called habit stacking, and it's incredibly powerful. For instance, let's say you already make coffee every morning. Instead of trying to find a completely new time to fit in exercise, try doing a few stretches while you wait for your coffee to brew. Or, If you're trying to read more, do it while you're having your morning cup. By tying your new habit to something you already do regularly, you make it a part of your routine without overloading yourself. It's all about making the process as seamless as possible. One of the biggest challenges to forming lasting habits is staying consistent, even when life gets in the way. It's easy to stay committed to something when you feel motivated, but what happens when life gets stressful? When you're tired or busy? That's when your habits will truly be tested. So how do you stay consistent when the going gets tough? By making your habits non-negotiable. When you make your habits something you commit to no matter what, even on your worst days, you create a deep sense of accountability with yourself. The key here is to build in flexibility without breaking the commitment. For instance, if you can't do your usual workout, find a way to adjust. Maybe go for a walk instead or do a shorter workout. The important thing is to show up, no matter the circumstances. When you make habits a non-negotiable part of your life, they become automatic, and your results start to compound. Tracking your progress is another crucial piece. When you can see your improvement over time, it motivates you to keep going. It doesn't matter if it's something as simple as marking an X on your calendar every day you complete your habit, or using an app to track your meals or workouts. Tracking helps you stay accountable and reminds you how far you've come. It also gives you a sense of pride and accomplishment, which is a huge driver for continuing to pursue your goals. As you look back and see the consistency, it will reinforce the positive behavior and help you stay on track. Another secret to creating lasting habits is creating rewards. Positive reinforcement is powerful. When you do something consistently, reward yourself. Maybe it's treating yourself to something small after a week of staying on track, or taking time for a relaxing activity after achieving a goal. The key here is to make the reward something that feels meaningful to you and reinforces the habit you're trying to build. The more you associate your habits with positive outcomes, the more ingrained they become in your daily life. Creating lasting habits doesn't have to be difficult or overwhelming. Start small, make your habits non-negotiable, and build momentum. As you take these steps, you'll notice that the habits you once struggled with will start to feel like second nature. And with time, you'll begin to see how these simple, consistent actions lead to big results. Next, we'll talk about mastering self-discipline to stay consistent and focused, especially on the days when it feels hard to keep going. It's about maintaining that momentum and finding the drive to push through, even when the motivation seems to fade. Stick with me, because we're diving deep into how to keep going when things get tough. You won't want to miss it. Mastering self-discipline to stay consistent and focused. There's a quiet but powerful force that separates those who succeed from those who struggle to make progress. It's not talent, luck, or even intelligence. It's self-discipline. It's the ability to stay consistent and focused when everything around you is trying to pull you off course. It's about showing up day after day, even when the excitement fades and the results aren't immediate. Think about a time when you set a big goal. Maybe you decided to start a new habit, finish a project, or change something significant in your life. In the beginning, it felt exciting, right? The adrenaline rush of a new challenge made you feel unstoppable. But over time, the energy faded. Life got busy, doubts crept in, and the temptation to procrastinate grew stronger. You might have thought, I'll just do it tomorrow, or I'm too tired right now. This is where self-discipline comes in. It's about pushing through those moments of discomfort and staying committed, even when the initial excitement is gone and you're left with the work. Self-discipline isn't about being perfect or never slipping up. It's about building habits that support your long-term goals and finding the will to stick to them, even when you'd rather take the easy route. It's understanding that your future success isn't about doing something perfectly once. It's about doing it consistently over time. One of the most important things to realize is that self-discipline doesn't come from sheer willpower alone. It's about creating an environment that makes it easier for you to stick to your goals. When you have a clear routine, a structured plan, and accountability, you make it simpler to stay on track. For example, if your goal is to get healthier, setting up your environment to support that goal can make a huge difference. Preparing healthy meals ahead of time, scheduling your workouts like appointments, or even finding a workout buddy can reduce the decision fatigue and make it easier to follow through. You're not relying on willpower alone. You're setting yourself up for success. But here's the real secret to mastering self-discipline. It's not about perfection, it's about progress. There will be days when you slip up, when life gets in the way, and when you fall short. That's okay. What matters is your ability to get back on track without beating yourself up. Self-discipline is about consistency, not perfection. It's about making small, positive choices every day and showing yourself that you're capable of sticking to your commitments, even when things get tough. Another key to staying disciplined is understanding your why, the deeper reason behind why you want to achieve your goals. When your goals are tied to a strong emotional driver, it becomes easier to stay committed. Maybe you want to get fit because you want more energy to keep up with your kids, or you want to build a successful business because it will provide you with financial freedom and the ability to travel. When your why is powerful, it fuels your discipline. It becomes the anchor that keeps you grounded when the distractions and temptations arise. The more you practice self-discipline, the easier it becomes. It's like building muscle at the gym. The more you do it, the stronger you get. At first, it's tough to resist that impulse to hit snooze on the alarm or take the easy way out, but over time, your brain starts to recognize that the long-term payoff is worth the short-term discomfort. Self-discipline becomes a habit in itself. It's also important to remember that discipline isn't about being rigid or strict with yourself. It's about being flexible within structure. If you're trying to create a new habit or reach a goal, it's okay to adjust your approach along the way. The key is not to give up when things don't go according to plan. Adapt, adjust, and keep going. If you miss a workout or slip up with your diet, don't let that derail your progress. It's about getting back on track, no matter how many times you stumble. Another crucial aspect of self-discipline is accountability. Having someone to check in with, whether it's a friend, mentor, or coach, creates an extra layer of motivation. It's one thing to make a commitment to yourself, but having someone else involved adds a layer of responsibility. When someone else is rooting for you, you're more likely to keep going, even when it feels tough. Here's the most important thing to remember. Self-discipline doesn't happen overnight. It takes time, patience, and practice. The more you push yourself to stay consistent, even on the hard days, the more natural it becomes. You'll start to feel stronger, not just in your ability to stick to your habits, but in your belief in yourself. You'll trust yourself more. You'll be able to take on bigger challenges because you know you have the self-discipline to make it through. The journey isn't easy, but every time you take that one small step forward, you're proving to yourself that you're capable of achieving whatever you set your mind to. So the next time you feel like giving up or not following through, remind yourself, you're building something powerful. You're building a life where your actions match your dreams. And that's where the magic happens. When you start to take the small, disciplined actions, that's when you start to create the life you've always wanted. In the next chapter, we'll dive into real-life stories of personal growth and ownership. You won't want to miss it. Stay tuned. Chapter 4. Real-life stories of personal growth and ownership. Inspirational examples of people who became their best selves. It's easy to look at successful people and think they have it all figured out, that they were just born with the right mix of talent, luck, and opportunity. But what if I told you that the truth is far more inspiring and achievable than you think? Let's talk about a few remarkable individuals who have transformed their lives and become the best versions of themselves, despite facing enormous challenges. Take Oprah Winfrey, a name that's become synonymous with success. Oprah grew up in poverty, facing unimaginable hardships like abuse and neglect. Yet she transformed her life by embracing the mindset that no matter how difficult her circumstances were, she could rise above them. It wasn't just luck that made her successful. It was her relentless drive to improve, to learn, and to grow. Oprah's journey teaches us that you can always change your life by changing your mindset. She didn't wait for the right moment or for someone to hand her success. She built it, step by step, and now she's one of the most influential people in the world. Her story shows us that we all have the power to redefine our futures. Then there's J.K. Rowling, the author of the Harry Potter series, who faced rejection after rejection before finally achieving global fame. But before all the success, Rowling was a single mother living on welfare, struggling to make ends meet. Yet, she kept writing. She didn't let rejection define her. Instead, she used it as fuel. Her persistence is a perfect example of how success isn't about avoiding failure. It's about pushing forward despite it. Rowling's journey is proof that perseverance and belief in yourself are often the difference between quitting and achieving greatness. She never gave up on her dream, even when the odds seemed stacked against her. It's this kind of grit that can help anyone rise above their current situation and become the person they've always wanted to be. Or think about Steve Jobs, the visionary behind Apple. Jobs faced incredible setbacks, including being ousted from the company he co-founded. Imagine being told that your own creation isn't good enough and being kicked out of the organization you built from the ground up. Most people would have folded under that pressure. not jobs. He took that failure, learned from it, and came back with more vision, more clarity, and a renewed sense of purpose. He didn't see failure as the end, but as the beginning of something greater. His ability to keep pushing forward, constantly reinventing himself, is a powerful lesson in resilience. Job's story proves that success is about creating opportunities from setbacks, not waiting for the perfect conditions to act. These examples, Oprah, Rowling, Jobs, are incredible, but let's not forget the countless others who quietly changed their own lives by making small, consistent changes over time. Like the person who worked a 9-to-5 job for years, knowing deep down that they had bigger aspirations but struggling to take that first step. Maybe it was fear, or maybe it was uncertainty. But one day, they decided that the life they were living wasn't the life they wanted. They took that first step no matter how small. They started investing in themselves. They took the time to build their confidence, develop their skills, and build habits that led to success. And slowly but surely, their life started changing. These stories remind us that becoming your best self isn't a one-time event, it's a process. It's about taking action, even when it's uncomfortable or challenging, and continuing to move forward, even when things don't go according to plan. It's about staying committed to the process, knowing that each step, no matter how small, brings you closer to becoming the person you want to be. And here's the real kicker. These are just a few examples of people who made a conscious decision to change their lives. You have the same power within you. You might not have a global platform or a best-selling book, but that doesn't make your journey any less powerful. You have the ability to transform your life in ways you might not even realize yet. The secret isn't waiting for a dramatic change to happen. It's about taking small, deliberate actions today that align with the person you want to become. So where do you start? Start by asking yourself one question. What's one small thing you can do today to move closer to your best self? Maybe it's waking up 30 minutes earlier, writing down your goals, or reaching out to someone who inspires you. It doesn't matter how small the action is, as long as you start. Because just like Oprah, J.K. Rowling, and Steve Jobs, you too can create the future you desire, one small step at a time. Next, we'll dive deeper into how taking ownership of your actions leads to breakthrough success, and that's when the magic happens. Stay tuned! How taking ownership of your actions leads to breakthrough success. Taking ownership of your actions is one of the most powerful decisions you can make. It's about recognizing that you are the architect of your own life, and no one else can build it for you. When you truly understand this, something incredible happens. Your entire world shifts. Suddenly, you realize that the power to change your circumstances lies squarely in your hands. It's a freeing feeling, but it's also incredibly empowering. We all have moments where things don't go as planned. Maybe we've made mistakes, or things haven't turned out the way we hoped. It's easy to point fingers, isn't it? To blame circumstances, other people, or even just bad luck. But what happens when we stop looking outside of ourselves and start looking inwards? What if instead of blaming, we took full responsibility for our part in what's happened? That's when the real transformation begins. When we take ownership of our actions, we gain the clarity and confidence needed to move forward. No more waiting for the right time or hoping for the perfect opportunity. The only moment that matters is the one you're in right now. Think about the times when you felt stuck or frustrated. Maybe you wanted to make a change, but you were waiting for the perfect conditions or someone to give you permission. But here's the thing. Waiting for the right moment is the killer of progress. The truth is, there is no perfect moment. It's easy to get caught in the cycle of, I'll do it later, or once I have everything figured out, I'll start. But that's where the magic happens when we take full ownership. When you realize that waiting for circumstances to change is disempowering, you suddenly have the power to make things happen on your own. Now, that doesn't mean everything will be smooth sailing. Taking ownership means accepting that there will be bumps along the way. There will be moments when things go wrong, when you feel like giving up, or when you question whether it's all worth it. But here's the thing. You'll never experience breakthrough success until you embrace those moments as part of your growth. The most successful people in the world didn't get where they are by avoiding failure. They embraced it, learned from it, and used it as fuel to push forward. By taking ownership, you become the person who handles challenges with grace, who learns from every mistake, and who never lets setbacks stop them. I want you to picture this for a moment. What if, instead of playing the blame game, you took 100% responsibility for where you are in life? What if, in every situation, whether it's at work, in your relationships, or with your personal goals, you recognize that you are the one who has the power to change things. That kind of mindset doesn't just lead to progress, it leads to breakthrough success. But what happens when we don't take ownership? We become stuck in a victim mentality, blaming circumstances or other people for our failures. This is one of the biggest traps we can fall into. When we avoid taking responsibility for our actions, we give up our power. We stop believing in our ability to create change. But when you make the decision to own your actions, both the good and the bad, you unlock a level of freedom that's hard to put into words. This doesn't mean you have to do everything alone, of course. It's about recognizing that you are responsible for how you respond to life. You are responsible for how you deal with challenges, how you learn from mistakes, and how you celebrate your wins. When you take ownership, you no longer feel powerless in the face of setbacks. Instead, you feel empowered to adapt, learn, and evolve. Let me give you an example. Think of someone you admire, whether it's someone in your life or a famous figure. Chances are, they've experienced hardship, failure, and moments of doubt. But instead of letting those moments define them, they took ownership of their actions. They used those challenges to fuel their next steps. Maybe they weren't perfect, but they kept going. They realized that the path to success isn't a straight line. It's full of bumps, twists, and turns. But every time they took ownership of their journey, they got closer to their breakthrough. Taking ownership of your actions also means recognizing your power to choose. When we blame others or circumstances, we give up our ability to make decisions that serve us. We let external factors dictate how we feel and how we act. But when you take full responsibility, you recognize that you have the power to choose your response in any situation. That's the ultimate freedom, the freedom to decide who you want to be and how you want to show up in the world. So what does this mean for you right now? It means that today is the day you can make the decision to take full responsibility for your actions. No more waiting for the perfect moment, no more blaming circumstances. It means choosing to look in the mirror and say, I am responsible for my success, my growth, and my happiness. When you do this, you begin to see every challenge as an opportunity to grow and improve. You start to realize that you have everything inside of you to create the life you've always dreamed of. Next, we'll explore learning from the journeys of successful people. You won't want to miss it. Stay tuned. Learning from the journeys of successful people. There's something incredibly powerful about learning from the journeys of successful people. It's not just about admiring their achievements. It's about understanding the process they went through, the struggles they faced, and how they kept going when the road got tough. The truth is, success isn't a straight line, and it's rarely as glamorous as we imagine. But when you start to unpack the stories of those who've made it, you realize that the key to success often lies in persistence, resilience, and a willingness to keep going despite the odds. Let's take a moment to think about someone like Steve Jobs. We all know about his success with Apple, but what about the moments when he was fired from the very company he created? Imagine that, being ousted from your own dream. Most people would have given up, but not Jobs. Instead of throwing in the towel, he saw it as a moment to grow. He took ownership of that setback and used it as fuel. He came back to Apple years later and transformed the company into one of the most innovative brands in the world. His journey is a powerful reminder that failure isn't the end. It's just a chapter in the story of success. Or consider Oprah Winfrey, who is now regarded as one of the most influential people in the world. But her journey wasn't always easy. Oprah faced rejection after rejection early in her career. She was told she wasn't fit for television, that she didn't have the right look or personality. But she refused to believe those limitations. Instead of giving in, Oprah reinvented herself and created a platform that would allow her to help others. She didn't just bounce back from her struggles, she transformed them into her strengths. Oprah's story shows us that sometimes the very thing others see as a flaw can become your greatest asset. Then there's J.K. Rowling, who is living as a single mother, struggling to make ends meet when she wrote Harry Potter. She faced rejection after rejection from publishers who didn't believe in her story. She was on the verge of giving up when she got her big break, but even then, she still had a long road ahead of her. She didn't just create a book series, she built an empire that has touched millions of lives. Rowling's journey isn't just about the magical world she created on the pages. It's about her own magic, the courage to keep going when it seemed impossible. These stories show us something deeply important. Success is never just about talent or luck. It's about how you handle the obstacles, the setbacks, and the failures. The one thing all these successful people have in common is their ability to keep going, even when they felt like the world was against them. They didn't wait for the perfect moment. They made the moment perfect through their determination and their refusal to let failure define them. But the great thing about learning from others is that we can take these lessons and apply them to our own lives. You don't have to be Steve Jobs, Oprah, or J.K. Rowling to create your own success. The truth is, you can start your own journey right now, no matter where you are. It's about recognizing that success doesn't happen overnight, and it's about committing to the process. When you look at successful people, you start to see that their journeys are filled with uncertainty, risk, and setbacks. But they've mastered one thing. They've learned to trust the process. They understood that they weren't supposed to have it all figured out in one go. They just had to keep taking the next step, even when the way ahead was unclear, and that's exactly what you can do too. There's a certain level of vulnerability that comes with this process. Learning from others means acknowledging that the road to success won't be easy. There will be moments where you question your choices, doubt your abilities, and wonder if it's all worth it. But here's where the magic happens. When you embrace those doubts as part of your journey, when you see them as stepping stones, you shift your entire perspective. Those moments become the lessons that shape you into someone capable of handling even greater challenges in the future. So what's the takeaway from these inspiring stories? That you too have everything you need to succeed. You don't need to wait for the perfect moment, the perfect opportunity, or the perfect set of circumstances. What you need is to take that first step, no matter how small it seems, and trust that the rest will follow. Like those who have succeeded before you, you can transform your struggles into your greatest strengths. It all starts with believing that you're capable of doing more than you think, and then putting one foot in front of the other. As you continue your journey, remember that success is a process. It's about learning from the people who've walked the path before you and applying their lessons to your own unique journey. So what's your first step? What's one thing you can do today that will move you closer to the success you're dreaming of? And remember, just like the greats, you don't need to have it all figured out. You just need to start. In the next chapter, we'll dive into the power of self-reflection to unlock your potential. You'll want to stick around for that, because we'll go deep into the actions that turn dreams into reality. Stay tuned! Chapter 5. The Power of Self-Reflection to Unlock Your Potential. Why self-reflection is the key to understanding yourself. There's something deeply transformative about looking inward and truly understanding who you are. It's not just about thinking through your day or running through a mental checklist of what went right or wrong. Self-reflection is much deeper than that. It's about carving out time to truly pause, look at your actions, your thoughts, your reactions, and understand them. It's like peeling back the layers of an onion. Sometimes it's emotional, sometimes it's uncomfortable, but at the end of it, you find clarity. Let's take a moment to think about this. How often do you take the time to really reflect on yourself? Many of us are caught up in the hustle, busy with work, with family, with life itself. We often rush through everything, checking off our to-do lists. But what happens when we don't stop to reflect? We can miss out on understanding why we do what we do, or how we're truly feeling. Without this understanding, it's like navigating life with your eyes closed. How can you adjust course if you don't know where you are? Think about the last time you experienced a setback or frustration. Did you take a step back to reflect on what happened? Or did you just push through, trying to move past it without really understanding what went wrong? Self-reflection is the key to truly learning from every experience, both the good and the bad. When you stop and reflect, you give yourself the opportunity to learn lessons, to see patterns in your behavior, and to understand your triggers. This isn't just about identifying mistakes. It's about seeing your growth, your reactions, and your patterns of behavior, which helps you make better choices moving forward. For example, let's say you had a rough interaction at work. Maybe a conversation didn't go well, and you left feeling frustrated. Instead of just brushing it off, self-reflection encourages you to pause and ask yourself, what was it that bothered me? Why did I react that way? Was it something the other person said, or was it something I brought into the conversation? Reflecting on that moment doesn't just help you understand the situation better, but it helps you learn how to approach similar conversations in the future with more patience or a different perspective. This process of reflection can also be an emotional journey, especially when you start to realize patterns you've been repeating. Have you ever noticed how sometimes the same kinds of issues pop up in different areas of your life, whether it's relationships, career, or personal goals? Self-reflection gives you the power to connect those dots. You might realize that the reason you're constantly feeling overwhelmed at work is because you have a tendency to say yes to everything, even when it doesn't align with your values or your time. Recognizing that can be the first step in making a change. Instead of going through life reacting to situations, you start to respond with awareness. But self-reflection doesn't have to be a heavy, soul-searching experience every time. Sometimes it's as simple as looking at your day at the end of the day and asking, how did I show up today? Did I act in alignment with the person I want to be? Did I take small steps toward my goals? Taking small moments to reflect throughout your day helps you continuously realign your actions with your values. It's like checking the map of your life, making sure you're on the right path, and making course corrections when needed. It gives you control over the direction of your life and empowers you to take charge. Now let's think about why this is so important for your personal growth. Imagine trying to change a habit, whether it's something you've wanted to improve, like your fitness routine, or something like being more patient with others. Change is hard, and it doesn't happen overnight. But if you don't reflect on why certain habits aren't sticking, or what internal beliefs are holding you back, it's like trying to build a house without a foundation. Self-reflection helps you build that foundation, understanding your motivations, your challenges, and your setbacks, and gives you the tools to move forward. Here's the magic of it. Self-reflection doesn't just make you understand your past actions, it shapes your future decisions. It allows you to see things with clearer eyes. When you learn from your past, you take those lessons with you and apply them. So when you face new challenges, you'll be ready to handle them in a better way. It's like upgrading your internal software. So how can you start building this practice into your life? You don't need hours of meditation or journaling, though those can be helpful. Start small, maybe at the end of each day. Ask yourself a couple of simple questions like, what went well today? What could I have done better? How did I feel throughout the day? Or, if something emotional or intense happens, give yourself a moment to breathe and reflect. Even 5 minutes of focused self-reflection can help you gain clarity and guide your next steps. And here's the thing about self-reflection. It's not about beating yourself up for what went wrong. It's about looking at yourself with compassion and curiosity. You're learning about yourself, not judging yourself. The more you practice, the more natural it becomes. Eventually, reflection will become a tool you can rely on, allowing you to move through life with more insight, intention, and confidence. So what's next? Well, once you get comfortable with self-reflection, it will start shaping the way you show up in the world, whether in your personal relationships, your career, or your own growth. You'll begin to realize that understanding yourself is the key to unlocking your best self. Next, we'll dive into how to use introspection to create lasting personal change that can actually change your life. Stay tuned. How to use introspection to create lasting personal change. You've probably experienced it at some point, the feeling that you're not quite where you want to be in life, but you can't figure out exactly why. Something feels off, but it's not always clear what that something is. This is where introspection comes in. A tool that can help you not only identify the root causes of your dissatisfaction, but also unlock lasting change. Imagine for a moment that you're standing at the base of a mountain. The peak represents the person you want to become, the version of yourself who's confident, driven, and aligned with your true potential. The problem? You've been trying to climb that mountain, but you keep tripping over the same rocks. You can't seem to make progress, no matter how hard you try. What if the answer isn't in pushing harder, but in simply stopping for a moment, turning around, and taking a long, hard look at where you've been? That's what introspection offers, a chance to look back so you can move forward with clarity and purpose. You see, introspection is like a mirror for your soul. It's about taking the time to pause, reflect, and ask yourself important questions like, why am I feeling stuck? What patterns am I repeating? What are the things I keep doing that aren't serving me? It's a way to slow down and give yourself permission to look inward, to be honest about where you are, and to understand what's really driving your actions, whether it's fear, old habits, or perhaps unmet needs. The beauty of introspection is that it's not about judging yourself. It's not about beating yourself up for past mistakes or regrets. It's about understanding. Think of it as having a quiet conversation with yourself. In that space, you can listen without distraction and hear your own thoughts clearly. You might discover that your fear of failure is holding you back, or that your lack of confidence stems from experiences in your childhood. These realizations may sting at first, but they're the first step toward real change. Without this deep understanding, it's hard to break free from old patterns. Once you've had that honest conversation with yourself, the next step is to use that newfound awareness to create change. The truth is, real transformation doesn't happen just by thinking about what's wrong. It happens when you actively choose to take action based on what you've discovered about yourself. This is where introspection becomes a tool for progress. By recognizing the areas where you're stuck and understanding why, you can start to create a new intentional plan for growth. It's about taking small, deliberate actions that are aligned with the person you want to become. Maybe it's developing better time management skills if you've realized that procrastination is holding you back. Or maybe it's learning how to set healthy boundaries in relationships. One of the most powerful ways introspection can lead to lasting change is through self-awareness. When you are aware of your strengths and weaknesses, you can make better decisions and respond to life's challenges more effectively. Imagine if you could take a step back in the heat of a stressful situation and ask yourself, how can I react in a way that aligns with my values? Instead of falling into old patterns of frustration or rash decisions, you'd have the clarity to make a choice that aligns with your best self. That's the power of introspection. It empowers you to become more self-aware and make choices that move you closer to your goals. Let's take it a step further. When you reflect on your actions, you also create a space for self-compassion. It's easy to get frustrated with yourself when things aren't going the way you expect. You might think, why do I keep doing this? Or why can't I get it together? But introspection allows you to recognize that you're human, and it's okay to not have everything figured out. By practicing self-compassion, you'll be able to learn from your mistakes without letting them define you. You're not perfect, and you don't need to be. The goal is progress, not perfection. What happens when you regularly practice introspection is nothing short of transformative. You begin to see patterns and habits that you were previously blind to. You become more attuned to what triggers your stress, your negative emotions, or your poor decisions. Instead of reacting impulsively, you start to make choices that move you in the direction you want to go. You become more intentional with your time, your energy, and your actions. Think of a time when you felt proud of yourself. Maybe it was a moment when you made a decision that aligned with your values, or when you took a leap of faith towards something you were scared of. Introspection allows you to create more of those moments. It helps you find the courage to face your fears, the clarity to make tough decisions, and the peace to embrace your flaws. It's the process of getting to know yourself deeply so you can start showing up as the person you've always wanted to be. And let's not forget, this isn't a one-time thing. Introspection is an ongoing practice. The more you make time for it, the more you learn about yourself and the more empowered you become to make lasting changes. It's not about perfecting yourself, it's about understanding yourself on a deeper level. That understanding is the key that unlocks growth. So how do you get started? Simple. Take a moment every day to check in with yourself. It could be through journaling, quiet reflection, or even just pausing for a few minutes to ask yourself, how am I feeling right now? What do I need? The more you practice, the clearer your path will become. Next, we'll dive into the transformative power of looking in the mirror and taking action. You won't want to miss it. Stay tuned. The transformative power of looking in the mirror and taking action. When was the last time you truly looked at yourself in the mirror and asked, what do I really want for my life? Not just a glance as you rushed out the door, but a real moment of self-reflection, where you truly connected with who you are and who you want to become. It's easy to get caught up in the daily hustle, work, family, commitments, and forget about the most important relationship you'll ever have, the one with yourself. But here's the thing. The moment you choose to look in the mirror, not just with your eyes but with your heart, is the moment real change begins. Looking in the mirror isn't just about physical appearance. It's about acknowledging the person staring back at you. It's about facing your fears, your dreams, your doubts, and your potential head-on. That reflection holds more than just your physical features. It holds everything you've been through and everything you could become. When you take the time to really look, you open the door to self-awareness and, more importantly, the chance to take action. You've probably had those moments where you stood in front of the mirror, feeling like something's missing, or maybe you felt that tug in your gut, urging you to make a change. But then, life happens. You get distracted. You forget. You tell yourself you'll do it tomorrow. Sound familiar? The truth is, we all know that we have to make changes. But the hardest part is not recognizing the need for change. It's taking action. So what if I told you that real transformation begins when you stop avoiding the mirror and start seeing it as a tool for growth? What if instead of looking at yourself and seeing limitations, you saw possibility? What if the reflection in that mirror could become your most powerful source of motivation? Here's the thing. Transformation isn't about grand gestures. It's not about waiting for the perfect moment or until you feel ready. It's about taking that one step forward, right now, and committing to yourself. It's about seeing the truth of where you are today, acknowledging it, and deciding that you're ready for something better. That's the moment when you take action, and suddenly, your life begins to shift. Let's talk about action for a second. Taking action isn't always easy, especially when you're uncertain, or when you feel overwhelmed by everything that needs to change. But here's the thing, you don't have to do it all at once. The key is to start small, to take one step, then the next. Maybe it's writing down your goals. Maybe it's setting aside time each day for yourself. Maybe it's committing to a healthier routine. The important thing is that you've looked in the mirror, you've acknowledged your current reality, and you've made the decision to act, no matter how small the first step is. Imagine the impact of looking at yourself and saying, I choose to show up for me today. That decision, made in the quiet of the morning or in the stillness of the night, can change everything. It's not about waiting for external circumstances to change. It's about taking charge of what you can control, your mindset and your actions. And here's the magic part. As you start taking those actions, you'll begin to see changes, even in small ways. And those small changes, they'll start to add up, gaining momentum. They'll lead to bigger actions and more significant results. The transformation you're seeking is often waiting right behind that first step. The next time you look in the mirror, take a moment. Reflect on where you are, and then ask yourself, what am I willing to do today to move forward? Even if it's something tiny. Choosing one small habit to start, or making a decision to embrace a new challenge. It's all about the commitment to yourself. And when you take that action, that's when the magic happens. That's when the new version of you begins to unfold, one choice at a time. The journey won't always be easy, but with every step forward, you're proving to yourself that you have the power to create the life you want. The mirror isn't just a reflection of who you are, it's a reflection of who you are becoming. And that is the most powerful tool for transformation you'll ever have. We've spent the last several minutes breaking down exactly what it means to become your best self, but let's take a moment to really absorb the power of that statement. Becoming your best self isn't a destination. It's a journey that you begin right now. Think about where you are today. Maybe you felt stuck or like there's something holding you back. Maybe you've been waiting for the perfect time to start. But here's the truth. There's never going to be a perfect time. The best time is now. Every small change you make, every single action you take toward becoming your best self, compounds over time. It might not feel like much today, but a year from now, those small actions will have transformed your life. So think for a moment, how do you want to feel in a year? More confident? More successful? More in control of your life? If you want those changes to happen, you have to start now. It all begins with making the decision today to stop waiting and start acting. Now, I know some of you may be thinking, I'm not perfect. How can I become my best self when I have so many flaws? Here's the thing, no one is perfect. The key to becoming your best self isn't about achieving perfection. It's about making progress. Every successful person, every leader, every individual who has achieved greatness has flaws. They're human just like you. What sets them apart is their willingness to grow, to embrace imperfection, and to keep moving forward despite setbacks. Becoming your best self isn't about being flawless. It's about being better than you were yesterday. So don't wait for things to be perfect. Start today and let go of the need for perfection. Take one step forward, then another. Soon, those small steps will have you walking the path to success, and before you know it, you'll look back and realize just how far you've come. Now that we've laid the groundwork for how to build habits and mindsets that lead to success, it's time to talk about commitment. How badly do you want to change? Are you ready to show up for yourself every single day, no matter how tough it gets? We all have dreams, but what separates those who achieve their dreams from those who don't is commitment. Commitment to getting better, commitment to consistency, and commitment to the process, even when it gets hard, because let's face it, life is going to throw curveballs. Things won't always go according to plan, but those are the moments that matter most. Do you keep going, or do you give up? The most successful people aren't the ones who have never faced failure or setbacks. They are the ones who refuse to quit. They are the ones who kept their eyes on their goals no matter what. So, as you step into this journey of becoming your best self, remember, commitment is everything. Stay true to the process and stay true to your growth. Remember, small steps lead to big changes. Becoming your best self doesn't require drastic shifts in your life. It requires small daily actions that compound over time. 1 hour a day dedicated to personal growth, to working on your mindset, to building the habits that lead to success can change everything. But here's the thing, it has to start today. If you're waiting for the perfect time to begin, you'll never start. Life is too short to keep putting things off. Whether it's changing your mindset, starting a new routine, or setting better goals, it's all about getting started now. Look at the small victories. Celebrate the wins, no matter how small they may seem. Each step you take is a step closer to the best version of yourself. And each day you show up for yourself is one more day toward success. So here we are. You now have the tools, the strategies, and the mindset to start becoming your best self. The most important part of this journey is that you've taken the first step. You've made the decision to get better, to grow, and to take control of your life. But now it's time to live it. Put in the work, build the habits, take the small actions, and most importantly, never stop improving. Because this journey isn't a one-time thing. It's a lifelong process of becoming better every single day. I know you have the potential to be more than you ever thought possible. All it takes is that first decision, to start, and then keep going. So what's your next step? What will you do today to become your best self? The time is now. Let's go and make it happen. What's the first action step you're going to take today to start becoming your best self? Comment below and share how you're committing to your personal growth. If this video resonated with you, hit the like button, subscribe, and share it with someone who needs to hear this message. Remember, your future starts today, and it starts with the choices you make right now.